All right, yours truly, Jesse. Here it is. It's that part. I wonder why do I and others start off with yours truly?
Party.
Of course, it's yours truly. Now, we'll see how this goes. I have a crew of youngsters in the studio right now, so I don't know if you can hear them in the background or not. They're on their tablets and all of that, and it's real world. um, one of these days, I'm going to do a podcast and maybe a blog and everything about getting things done, even when you have kids, kids that you love, of course, and that you want to give them, you know, maximum attention, as well as giving them maximum room to grow and everything. But I like investing in kids because they don't remain kids forever. And if they don't have anything to work with in their heads and their hearts, then all kinds of things can go on or go wrong. What do you say, Allie?
Mommy.
What? What?
What does it sound like?
What it sounds like. And it sounds like you have your tablet up here near the microphone. Can't you see it? You see it registering there? I was going to talk to everybody about the goings on. I was going to rant a little bit. Let's see here. I still might be able to do that. But let's see. Because there's a lot of things, excuse me, that's going on.
Sigma, boys.
That, let's see here. I want to check something else out. Yeah, a lot of things that's going on.
Sigma boy.
That what that is. That deserves some attention. Yes. What? Okay. I don't know what she's talking about. But I wanted to turn up the volume on the microphone. Okay.
Sigma cat. Sleeper cat.
Yeah, I think you can probably hear everybody in the background there. So I don't know how that's going to sound on the podcast there. You might think it's cute and maybe not. What? Okay. That would be Baby Shark over there. Yeah, I said Baby Shark. Boy. Getting her started. Let's see. Individual consumer low slide.
What's that cat?
One of the things I was going to talk about was as we fast approach MLK Day, and it's going to be interesting in that the incoming president, if you want to use that word for him, he'll be inaugurated on that particular day. So it'll be interesting to see what, if anything, he says in regards to MLK, because we all know that he does not like to share the spotlight with anyone, and he wants all eyes on him, to use the words of the famous philosopher Tupac. So that's going to be interesting. While I was at AT&T, I used to do a morning show, basically, on voicemail. I think it was quite creative, if I may say so myself, because, I was really into that. I'm still into that, as obviously I'm doing this podcast. But I used to get in real early, like I still do, normally, starting really early, like 3 or whatever in the morning. And I would pull all of my content, I'm doing the show prep and everything. And then I would, broadcast the whole show. I think it was somewhere around maybe 10 or 15 minutes long, something like that. I can't recall, but it wasn't real long. But I managed to get in, 2 or 3 news items, the stock report for the company, and the weather, and a couple other items there. And I would do this consistently every day. I used to do it live, as a matter of fact, but then I started learning how to record, and so I would still put the show together, but then I would pre-record it, and that was about increasing my workflow or making it more efficient, and so I did that, and on that particular day, I forget which year it was, it was very consequential, or nearly, because I did a rendition of the "I Have a Dream" speech. I'll just look in the camera now. That was really, it was really something. I changed some words around, took some, creative liberties at certain points of the speech there. But I wrapped it up. I remember, or as I recall, it was, I did the black kids and the white kids and this, that, and the other. And it was more, in my mind, I was thinking that I was encouraging the company to do more together, as one, embracing diversity. And I was speaking actually to a very large audience, as a matter of fact. I think it was all the way up to the VP.
Hey, sit down.
Sit down. My cheering section is going off back there. But at any rate, I did that, and man, let's see if I have some notes here. Yeah, I forget exactly what it was. I wish I had a copy of it, because it was really good. I thought actually probably too good, because the VP at the time, Bill Chubb was his name. I'm going to name names. I'm retired now, so it can't hurt me. But and I'm speaking facts, so there's no defamation or anything like that. In fact, I'm not coming that way at all. But at any rate, he didn't like it, or he took it the wrong way, because a number of prominent black people had to pull him to the side and say, hey, he didn't mean it that way. And vouched for me that I was, totally legit and very sincere. But he took it the wrong way because unknown to me at the time, he was really angling to try to get me fired or to fire me. But God was in control because he promoted me into management, and if he didn't want me there, then he would have changed that, but he did not. And I was not fired. And so I managed in corporate America there for about 25 years, nearly 25 years. And so that was my MLK story there. And it's going to be really interesting to see, what happens when the evil number 45, that's the baby shark right there. Evil number 4547, when he goes to the inauguration and what he will say. And whether or not he will actually make reference to MLK. But I'm expecting him to do at least a little bit of lying, but probably a lot of lying, because I'm almost certain, or let's put it like this: I would not be surprised if he did not even like MLK, felt intimidated by him, or thought that he was, getting, much too much. So, at any rate, he's, you may have heard, it's been in the news, all last week, and even before then, the evil one talking about annexing Greenland or making Canada the 51st state, and of course changing the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America. Now, the interesting thing is, at least the thing that I found interesting, is that he had a lot of people jumping on that bandwagon, thinking that was a good idea as far as the 51st state. Let's do that and all of that. Meanwhile, they won't address the fact that we, the people, have been trying to have been petitioning the powers that be to make DC, the District of Columbia, a state. But they don't want to do that. I wonder why. Well, I'm glad you asked. Because it's predominantly black. They can't have that. They don't want that. You see, there's a lot of people that are trying, or a large group of people, mainly pretty much the entire Republican Party. And I'm not trying to be slanderous or defamatory or anything like that. I'm just calling it like I see it. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there's some, they have issues with white supremacy over there, meaning that that's what they want. That's what they desire, to turn the clock back to a time when we were servants and slaves, literally. Institutionally, not on the same, not having the same footing. institutionally not being in the same room, and definitely institutionally not at the same table or lunch counter. They want to take us back there, but and not just that racial group, our racial group. No, they want to go back to a time when women didn't have any rights outside of their spouses. And I guess, if you were single and a woman, you were just through dealing, as we used to say. And if you were a Black single woman, it was even worse. Always has been. But that's what I would want him to address. Man, we've got all kinds of things going on in the background there. I forgot to hit the ADT, but at least temporarily, because I like to know what's going on in the buildings, shall we say. Who's coming and who's going there. But at any rate, I digress, or let's move on. Let's see. Puerto Rico. Exploited. I'm just going down some. I'm looking at my notes here. As I go through the day and things, I'm either listening to something on Sirius XM or a podcast or something like that, and it will cause me to think about something. And once upon a time, I used to have tablets and tablets and tablets all over the place with all kinds of thoughts written in them. I had posties like that as well. But years ago, I converted all that, or stopped all of that, or transitioned to using my notepad in my phone. And I would actually dictate to it. I would, hit the mic in the lower right-hand corner of the phone there. And that's usually where it is. And, the same place that you would type the text. And then I would just talk, and so that I won't forget, because I'm thinking that it's important, or could be of importance, and so I want to make sure it's preserved, the thought, that is. So let's see here. Oh, man. Now this one really got me. If you live out here in Southern California, then you know what I'm talking about when I speak about the radio station KNX. I'm looking around to see if I have something to wet my whistle, because I'm kind of dry. Hold on just a second. Hold that spot right there. Okay. And we're back, as they say. One of the things that, what? I'm thinking maybe I found something. Maybe not. Anyway, one of the things about this show, it's that part, and it's actually means roughly this is something or that's something that you need to know, or that's something that you shouldn't forget or overlook. That part right there is important. That's the golden nugget. That's kind of what that is. Not necessarily play on words, but exactly what it says. It's that part. And this morning, early in the morning, I'm going to call them names. So not trying to be juvenile or whatever, but they were actually being boneheads to the director of emergency services out here. They were just just going all in on him, trying to stand him up about why we were getting faulty or false emergency messages. I mean, and now this is in the midst of everything that's going on out here. Him working long hours and his people working long hours and everybody trying to do everything that they can to get these fires under control. And these two boneheads, they want to hang on. Well, hey, we're getting false emergency evacuations and everything, and it's making us lose our mind and all of that. And no, it's not. I mean, you might have some people overreacting and that sort of thing there, and that's understandable. But look, mistakes can be and will be made, even if it wasn't a crisis. But especially in a crisis there, because in many cases, even if if we were talking about a hurricane or whatever, and this is Florida, and we know that there's a hurricane season, and the hurricane comes and goes. Each one of the hurricanes has its own personality. Yes, you have a certain amount of key learning there that you can apply each time you go through a natural disaster or something like that. But there are always going to be some things that are unforeseen and beyond your control. And in the case of these fires and everything, and the water and the notifications, I'll just deal with the notifications right now. The notifications is not like, and the director has spoke to that. It's not like there's someone sitting somewhere in a room watching MSNBC or somewhere KCAL or KTLA and determining that, okay, they've seen enough, and so they're going to go to ThreatCon 3 or 4 or 5. In other words, they're going to hit the button, for the emergency to vacate. It doesn't happen like that. It's an algorithm. It happens automatically based on a number of different parameters that have to be calibrated. And if it's out of calibration, or if there's any other anomaly, then you'll get an error. It's not a human thing. The human programmed it, yes, or would reprogram it, but they're not sitting there maintaining it or anything like that. And these boneheads, I'm sure they know this. I mean, it's not the first time that, it is the first time that something of this magnitude has occurred, causing the need to even have these warnings, these emergency evacuations. But there are areas that have had to evacuate for fire and flood and things of that nature. They know how this thing goes, but they were not giving him a break at all. They were just going all the way in on it as if he caused it. I mean, sure, it was fair for them to ask, where does the buck stop? But they know where the buck stops. It stops with him. I mean, if he's the director of the services, then obviously, he's the guy. Or if he were a woman, the woman. Or let's just say they would be the king, the key person. And they know this, but they had to take it to a whole nother level. They had to escalate it to sensationalism. For what? For ratings, maybe? For a raise or notoriety, or to have their boss, the GM or whatever, the owners, come in and say and pat them on the back and say, "Hey, great job going after that official," all that. Now, and here's the thing. They might not have the same type of access to him as a result of that. He can put a gatekeeper or two or three right around him so that that particular station or their representatives won't be able to get to him. They'll have to speak to his representatives, the gatekeepers. As a result of them, quite frankly, just disrespecting him. It's demanding that he bends over and apologizes to them. And he shouldn't have to do that. He shouldn't have to do that. But they just kept on and on and on and on. at the end, at the end of the interview, forget what is her name, Vicky White or something like that. And she tries to sound all important and whatnot. She says, "Hey, but I got one more question for you." And he says, I've got to go. I've got to go and troubleshoot this issue or continue to troubleshoot this issue. And so I don't have time right now to answer your additional question. And she was trying to get it in there, and he just cut it right off. He said, "Thank you very much. I'm out." That was so funny. That was so funny and fitting. But in earlier, about an hour or so ago, I was downstairs with the wife, and I heard her listening to the same guy. It sounded like he had gotten himself together and was a lot more composed at that time. And he was actually apologizing. But that's not protocol for him to do that. I'm certain that somebody felt better about themselves or whatever because he apologized to them. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big believer in the fact that a person should apologize if they've done something incorrect or done something wrong or especially to another individual. I mean, that's proper. That's not a weakness or anything like that. That's a strength. But I because they wanted him to apologize this morning, but he wasn't there yet. He was trying to assess what the heck was going on and how to correct it. In fact, I think later on in the day, there was at least one or two other evacuation warnings issued, and I think that they were in error as well. They were still trying to determine, how to deal with that. And in my background there, as I'm crackling in the microphone, let me wet my whistle. There's this thing, and he told him about it. There's this thing called troubleshooting. You have to troubleshoot first to get to the root cause. Because if whatever the issue was before you, and you can reach out and touch it, then you can possibly correct it. But that's usually a process there, and they knew that. They just wanted to be famous or contrarian. I think that's the word for that. Anywho, let's see, what else do I have here? Oh, the nominee for the director for the FBI, Kash Patel, he made some comments on X Twitter about the decision, and Chief Justice Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett. They sided with what they call the liberal wing of the Supreme Court. And I think liberal is an old term. Really. I mean, I think they need to fall back on that in all areas there. Liberal versus conservative. And conservative is what it is. But the liberal, I don't think it exists anymore. I think I think it has transitioned into being a progressive, because even a conservative can be liberal in certain things there, as far as the definition of it goes. But at any rate, she sided with the minority on the court. She and the Chief Justice there, and this was as to the evil one was trying to get the Supreme Court to prevent and block his case in New York from going forward, the hush money case, and the falsifying records and all of that. And so it didn't matter that he wasn't going to get sentenced. He wasn't going to serve any time. He was going to get sentenced, but not serve any time, which is probably the reason why at least the Chief Justice went along with it, that, okay, there's not going to be really any crime or foul here because he's not going to be held accountable. This is just kind of window dressing. And so he and Amy Coney Barrett, they went along with Sotomayor and Ketanji Brown Jackson and Kagan, excuse me. And so Kash Patel, he's a lunatic. That's my opinion. I'm not trying to be defamatory. He acts like a lunatic to me. My opinion. But he was saying that, trying to call her weak and not unfit for the job and all of that. But meanwhile, they rushed her all the way through. They shut down everything to get her through there. Old Turtle himself, Mitch McConnell, denied Barack Obama his appointment And I think we'd be a whole lot better off if Merrick Garland was on the Supreme Court opposed to Attorney General, because he sure jacked up the Attorney General situation there. The evil one should have been prosecuted. He should have been prosecuted. Forget about, the protocol of not prosecuting, a sitting president. No one should be above the law, period. This guy incited an insurrection. I mean, that's just destroying everything that we consider near and dear in a democracy. But at any rate, Kash Patel, a little upset about that. Good. Good. And I'm hoping that he doesn't get confirmed as the director, but I'm sure he is. Everybody's going to fall right in line. Let's see here. There's a couple other items here. Do I want to get into that right now, or do I want to save that for the next time? I think I'll save that for the next time. Just wanted to shoot in here for just a little bit here, and just share a little bit of that with you. I don't really have an agenda or anything like that. They're still fighting the fire, out here in LA, which is just terrible. For people to have possessions, no matter how expensive or inexpensive it were, as far as homes and things of that nature and cars, but they have it or had it at one time, and then literally hours or in the next moment, it was all gone. And the insurance companies that used to insure people years ago don't exist now, or they're not insuring people out here. And if they are, they're paying through the nose. And that's, to a degree, understandable. I mean, they're a business and it's insurance. And if they have to pay out a lot, then, that cuts into their bottom line. But it would be a win-win for all if no one had, if we were just paying a nice, reasonable rate monthly or yearly or quarterly or whatever, and nothing went on. No claim had to be made or paid. But that's not what happened in SoCal over the past few days. It's been just devastating, and a number of people have lost everything, including those that are so-called well-to-do, those that had a lot of money in the bank. And that amount of money is going to be drained trying to recover and redo and reset. But that's how life is. That's how life is. And yes, there is a God. And he controls all. And he's not the author of chaos and pain and suffering or anything like that. No. But he knows what's going on before it even happens. We do bring a lot of things upon ourselves. That's the tribulation part. And we don't trust in him. And again, I'm not trying to make this, biblical or anything of that nature, because really it's beyond me. It's unimaginable. It's unimaginable of what has happened in such a short period of time. But it's a reminder that life is so precious and time can be so short. And the things that we hold near and dear to our hearts, that we put money into and that we cling to, can be taken from us at any time. And then what? And then what? It's that part.